I'm reviewing the Monitor Audio Gold 200 floor standing speakers. And when I say floor standing, they're not that high. They're comparatively compact, I would say. It's around 95 centimeters high, which isn't so bad when you compare it to a lot of the competition in its price point. And price point is £2,900 in this particular case. These are 4 ohm speakers, and they are suited really to amplifiers ranging from around 80 watts to 200 watts. Somewhere in that range would be best, I reckon. In terms of sensitivity, if you need to know that, we're looking at around 88 decibels, and they're fairly weighty speakers, around 22 kilograms each. You get a very nice dark walnut. There's also a piano black, an ebony black, and a satin white finish. These are 3-way designs, and they pack a range of driver units in the cabinet, including a couple of bass units known as RDT2s. They span around 165 millimeters. Above that is a C-Cam mid-range driver at 64 millimeters, and above that is an MPD tweeter. So let's quickly take a closer look at some of these drive units just to see what we're dealing with here. At the very top, as I say, is the tweeter. It's an MPD tweeter. It uses a sort of pleated diaphragm. Now, Monitor Audio say that if you took hold of the pleated diaphragm of this particular tweeter and you gave it a tug and got rid of all those accordion-like folds and just had a flat piece of material, the actual surface area would still be 8 times that of a traditional dome tweeter. The C-Cam mid-range driver, also known as the ceramic coated aluminium magnesium driver, is a light and quite rigid affair that reportedly resists twisting and bending stress. As for those RDT bass drivers, also known as rigid diaphragm technology, second generation for the more meticulous amongst you, this is a composite sandwich design made from a thin, low mass skin bonded to a honeycomb Nomex core. It uses C-Cam for the front skin, while the rear skin is made from a sort of woven carbon fibre type material. Now, to do the sound test for the Gold 200s, I just didn't want to compare the Gold 200s with a similar competitive speaker and Bob's Your Uncle. I wanted to find out why we want to spend £2,900 on a pair of speakers, any pair of speakers, I suppose. Obviously, in this case, the Gold 200s. So what I wanted to do was to look at lower cost speakers, to give those a comparative test with the Gold 200s and just see where the money goes, just see what sort of improvements you're getting. Why do the Gold 200s sound better if they do sound better? And in what way? Hence, I grabbed a pair of Monitor Audio Silver 300 floor standing speakers as a comparison. I went even further down from that point and I looked at a pair of Q Acoustic 3050i's, again as a comparison to the Gold 200s. And then to finish off, I looked at a comparative yet completely different type of technology, and I looked at my Quad 57 electrostatic speakers. Again, different way of approaching sound, but similar-ish sort of price. Now, before I start these comparisons, I just want to make it plain that all of these speakers I recommend. None of these speakers are bad. They're all good, but in their price point. I began with a touch of Peggy Lee and her Raindrops album and the track Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. Here, Lee was backed by a full orchestra. First up were the Q Acoustic 3050i's, and comparing the Gold 200s to the 3050i's, the Gold 200 speakers sounded much more in control of a host of information on offer here. That control started from the lead vocal to the percussion and bass. Hence the reverb, well, old-fashioned echo in this time period, was more focused and precise from the Gold 200s. The 3050i's couldn't quite corral the upper frequencies, which tended to diffuse like a cloud, while the bass frequencies were there but lacked a bit of depth. The frame of the music, the soundstage itself, was also there from the 3050i speakers, but the Gold 200 speakers provided more substance. Percussive rim shots were tight and accurate, flute provided more breath and air, while treble output was both fragile yet mature in tone. That control and focus, plus the enhanced tonal realism, illustrated why you would pay more for the Gold 200s. So I didn't mention that the Q acoustics are priced around £750, give or take. I then moved up a notch and looked at the Monitor Audio Silver 300s, priced around £1,250 or so, and I compared those to Monitor Audio's Gold 200s. Compared to the Q acoustics, the Silver 300s provide more focus, but the Gold 200s still takes that on a pace. The Silver 300s add control, but the Gold 200s provide further enhanced abilities. The Silver 300s offer finesse in terms of detail, but the Gold 200s add further delicacy. The Silver 300s are a sort of halfway house between the 3050 speakers and the Gold 200s. The Gold 200s add solidity and maturing in the mid-range, while increasing dynamic range and integrating bass impact into the mix without allowing it to dominate. Now the Q Acoustic 3050i's and the more expensive Monitor Audio Silver 300s are both excellent speakers. They're both great designs and they both do very well in their price points. They're highly recommended to do what they do at their price points. But the Gold 200s, they add a sense of order in terms of the soundstage, in terms of what's coming from the soundstage. So in comparison to the Gold 200s, the other speakers sound a little bit like, well, imagine a watercolour painting where you have that sort of diffuse detail. It isn't really sharp, it isn't really focused, it's a little bit blurred, as it were. So you would get vocals and background orchestras sounding a little bit smudged in comparison to the Gold 200s. That's what the Gold 200s are giving you. They're giving you the extra precision, extra focus, more solidity and more control. The soundstage from the Gold 200s can be accused of being a little bit narrow, perhaps, but that's true, at least in a traditional tweeter pointed at the ear position, but I wonder if the enhanced focus makes that effect more pronounced. I would experiment with offsetting the tweeter so it runs past the outside of the ear, not right at your ears, to avoid any threat of beaming at high volumes. I then wanted to see how the Gold 200s would cope with lots of high energy, low frequency information, so I played a range of rock tracks and I was bowled over by the low end grunt from these particular records. The bass guitar combined with bass drum provided a true big end, as it were. In this price point, the Gold 200s provided a low frequency grunt, direct and live from Hades itself. There is such confidence in this bass region that I could almost imagine the Gold 200s smirking while they threw a broadside of focused, tight yet organic bass at me. The bass never swamped the high-end information, I have to add. Treble-infused cymbals were clearly open, while the soundstage remained spacious. Playing rock music like this, the Gold 200s transferred the mood from the studious and almost analytical in their dissection of information to just plain old fun. And that's exactly what the Monitor Audio Gold 200s have over my Quad 57s. They have grunt, they have power, and they move lots of air, something that my electrostatic speakers just can't do. To conclude, if you want a big, bold, impressive bass machine and an informative, transparent speaker exuding clarity and delicacy, and you want all that from a relatively compact chassis, well, I would look seriously at Monitor Audio's Gold 200s. The Monitor Audio Gold 200s offer a nice blend in terms of sound quality and practicality in that they sound good, but they don't take up a lot of space and they look good. Highly recommended. And that's it from me for this particular video. I'll put some links down below if you'd like to check out my Facebook group or my Patreon page or my blog and some other social media links. I'll put them all down in the description box for you to look at. In the meantime, I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye bye for now.